April 2015, a quiet morning in Washington. Inside the Office of Personnel Management, an IT engineer notices something strange. Government files are flying out of the system. Millions of them. Names, social security numbers, security clearance files, even fingerprints. The alarms go off. But it's too late. Hackers have stolen over 22 million personal records from one of the US government's most important databases. It's one of the worst breaches in American history. Behind it, investigators quietly point to hackers working for the Chinese government. Washington is in shock. How did foreign hackers quietly loot the heart of the US personnel system? And if one breach can compromise 22 million government workers, what else could already be under attack right now? It started with a breach that stunned the world. In June 2015, US officials revealed that someone had quietly infiltrated the Office of Personnel Management, OPM, the agency holding security clearance files for federal workers. The hackers weren't after money, they were after information. Names, addresses, background checks, contacts, medical history. The attack had been going on for more than a year before anyone noticed. It was clean, quiet, and massive. When the dust settled, they announced the unthinkable. In total, 22.1 million records. Every American who had applied for government clearance since 2000, compromised. To put that in perspective, that's roughly the population of Florida. The evidence pointed east. US authorities quietly asserted that China was the leading suspect. The hackers, believed to be state-sponsored, had siphoned off everything from social security numbers to lists of foreign contacts for CIA applicants. Why did this matter? Because those files could be used for blackmail or espionage. If a Chinese agency knows a US official's secrets or vulnerabilities, they have leverage. Even the FBI director said, it's a huge deal. It was one of the largest breaches of government data in history, and it exposed a new reality. An adversary could strike deep into America's heartland without ever setting foot on US soil. The OPM hack left Washington reeling, but beyond the political scandal, a deeper fear took root. What else had these hackers accessed? What other cyber soldiers were digging through America's closets undetected? There was a sense that if 22 million identities could be looted in peacetime, nothing was safe. But what scared Washington the most wasn't just the data. It was the silence. No alarms, no signs. No one even knew they'd been hacked until the damage was already done. In this new kind of war, you don't even know when the first shot is fired. And the US wasn't about to let it slide. In fact, American cyber agents had already been busy with secret missions of their own. Operations just as audacious as the OPM breach, but on the other side of the world. The next strike in this shadow war wouldn't come as an announcement or news headline. It would emerge through leaked documents, revealing that the US too had been wielding its keyboard as a weapon. Across the Pacific in Shenzhen, China, stands the towering headquarters of Huawei Technologies, a telecom giant connecting a third of the world's people. For years, Huawei's rise sparked suspicions in Washington. Was this company helping Beijing spy on other nations? In 2014, an explosive revelation provided an ironic twist. The NSA had already hacked Huawei first. The operation, codenamed Shot Giant, saw the US National Security Agency infiltrate Huawei's servers and quietly monitor the communications of the company's top executives. So while the US was accusing China of espionage, it was already doing the same thing. This secret mission went even further. The NSA wasn't just listening in, it was preparing to ride on Huawei's technology like a Trojan horse. One goal of Operation Shot Giant was to find links between Huawei and the Chinese military. But the NSA also planned to exploit Huawei's products to conduct surveillance on any country using them. If ordered by the US president, they even mapped out how they could launch offensive cyber operations through those telecom networks. In essence, the US had turned Huawei's global footprint into a potential beachhead for American cyber forces. All of this happened in utmost secrecy, until whistleblower Edward Snowden's leaks pulled back the curtain. Beijing was furious. Chinese officials claimed the NSA had carried out tens of thousands of attacks inside China, not just on Huawei, but on universities and infrastructure too. The message was clear. From Beijing's viewpoint, the US was the aggressor in cyberspace, waging its own silent offensive. This tit-for-tat hacking created an atmosphere of mutual suspicion. Each side feared that every piece of hardware or software could be the other's covert agent. But the most dangerous hacks weren't just stealing secrets. They were quietly wiring explosives into the systems we depend on to survive. Imagine waking up to find the power out, trains halted, and water taps running dry. Not from a natural disaster, but a cyber attack. This is the nightmare scenario that officials on both sides of the Pacific have been quietly preparing for. And it's not just imagination. In 2021, US investigators discovered that a Chinese state-sponsored group nicknamed Volt Typhoon had pierced deep into American critical infrastructure. They didn't cause chaos. Not yet. They just stayed, quietly watching, mapping everything. According to the FBI, Chinese government-linked hackers have burrowed into US critical infrastructure and are waiting for just the right moment to deal a devastating blow, Director Christopher Wray warned. Like digital dynamite, waiting for a spark. Wray noted that this campaign had even targeted 23 natural gas pipeline operators in the US. The intent, he said, is clear. China wants the power to shut down US infrastructure whenever it wants. US officials believe this cyber pre-positioning is a playbook to deter America from intervening in a potential future conflict, especially over Taiwan. The unspoken threat is that if tensions boil over, an orchestrated wave of cyber sabotage could hit US cities, causing panic and paralysis on the home front. China, for its part, says it's the one under threat. It accuses the US of planting malware inside Chinese systems too. While concrete details are classified, many experts assume that US Cyber Command and the NSA have indeed planted their own sleeper programs in foreign infrastructure, including China's, as a form of deterrence. It's a mutual standoff, each side signaling, "We could disrupt your society if we wanted." All of this raises the stakes tremendously. Hacking a company's database to steal secrets is one thing. Hacking a dam or a hospital is quite another. A cyber attack on critical infrastructure could put lives at risk in an instant. For example, by knocking out emergency services or contaminating a water supply. Both Washington and Beijing know this, and so far they've tread carefully. But as the hacker war intensifies, the line between military and civilian targets has blurred. Every power plant and subway system is now a potential battleground in cyberspace. And as each nation fortifies its defenses and sharpens its digital spears, they're also turning to another arena of competition. Because if you control the future of AI and chips, you control the future of power. Both nations knew it, and both were ready to fight for it. How close are we to cyber attacks shutting down daily life? Not just for governments, but for civilians. This war isn't just about sabotage, it's also about who leads the future. That means two things: artificial intelligence and semiconductors. On one front, hackers are going after AI research like modern-day industrial spies. In 2024, a US AI company was hit with a phishing attack aimed at stealing its research. A Chinese-linked hacking group had carefully targeted a handful of AI scientists with fake emails, hoping to slip malware into their computers. Why? Because whoever controls the best AI can dominate everything from finance to drones to military tech. But the espionage cuts both ways. Chinese tech companies and research labs worry that American hackers might sabotage their progress or steal their breakthroughs. Meanwhile, Western intelligence officials warn that China is using AI to enhance its hacking, automating attacks and sifting through stolen data at colossal scale. In late 2023, the intelligence chiefs of the Five Eyes Alliance, which includes the US, bluntly stated that China has long targeted businesses with a web of techniques to steal technology secrets. They singled out quantum computing, biotechnology, and artificial intelligence as sectors under siege. FBI Director Wray even remarked that China has a bigger hacking program than that of every other major nation combined, and warned that AI tools could supercharge this threat. Then there's the battle over microchips, the tiny brains that run our phones, computers, and advanced weapons. Modern AI and military tech demand cutting-edge chips, and here the US has tried to maintain a lead. America's strategy hasn't just been defense, it's been outright denial. In 2022, Washington imposed sweeping export bans to stop the sale of top-tier chips and chip-making equipment to China, aiming to slow Beijing's technological rise. This has made China even more determined to develop or acquire semiconductor know-how by any means necessary. Sometimes that means legitimate investment. Other times, it means stealing secrets. In 2018, U.S. prosecutors indicted a Chinese state-owned company, accusing it of conspiring with employees to steal designs for advanced memory chips from Micron Technology, an American firm. It was a bold case of economic espionage, essentially an attempt to take a shortcut to semiconductor independence by copying U.S. research. Chinese efforts have also reached overseas. In early 2023, a Dutch semiconductor equipment maker, ASML, revealed that a China-based employee had misappropriated confidential data about its chip fabrication technology. This is significant because ASML's machines are essential for making the world's most advanced chips, and China has struggled to obtain them due to export restrictions. It's a high-tech cat-and-mouse game. For every restriction or security measure, there seems to be a hacker or insider trying to beat it. All the while, Taiwan looms large in the background of the chip war. Taiwan produces over 60% of the world's semiconductors and over 90% of the most advanced chips. Much of this comes from one company, TSMC, nicknamed the Silicon Shield of Taiwan. Both the US and China know that whoever controls cutting-edge chip manufacturing holds a powerful advantage. This is one reason the US has pushed to move some chip production stateside and to protect Taiwan's autonomy. The fight for technological supremacy, AI algorithms, chip designs, and fabrication has become tied together with national security. But why? What brings us to the biggest flashpoint in this conflict? On a humid summer day in Taipei, the screens at a busy train station suddenly flash with ominous messages. Startled commuters see warnings in Chinese characters, denouncing political leaders. This isn't a movie scene. Incidents like this have actually happened as hackers defaced public displays in Taiwan during times of tension. Every day, Taiwan is bombarded with over 2 million cyber attacks. Most come from China. Phishing emails, system hacks, attacks on government websites. It's nonstop. Why such focus on Taiwan? Because it's at the center of the US-China rivalry. Beijing claims Taiwan as its territory and hasn't ruled out taking it by force, while the US has signaled it would help Taiwan defend itself. In any future conflict, cyber attacks would come first. Cut the lights, cut communication, spread chaos. They've already shown their hand with bursts of attacks during political flare-ups. For instance, in 2022, when a top US official visited Taiwan, hackers briefly knocked government websites offline. It was a warning. But they served as a demonstration of how quickly the cyber domain can heat up around Taiwan's sovereignty issues. The United States, for its part, is likely upgrading Taiwan's cyber defenses and preparing its own digital tactics. If China were to invade tomorrow, would Americans even be able to turn on the lights? Well, leaked information and officials' hints suggest that the US has implanted malware in certain Chinese systems as a form of deterrence, signaling that if Taiwan were attacked, China's mainland infrastructure could face retaliation in kind. In fact, remember Volt Typhoon, the group lurking in US utilities? American intelligence believes that campaign is aligned with China's plans to deter US intervention in Taiwan. It's a chilling logic. If China makes a move on Taiwan, it might simultaneously trigger cyber attacks to slow down US response by causing turmoil stateside. Thus, Taiwan's fate isn't just about ships and planes, but about networks and malware. But this is just a preview of how a broader conflict could unfold. Any clash over Taiwan would likely begin with a blitz of digital strikes, a kind of shock and awe to disrupt communications and critical systems. And the danger is not confined to military targets. In a fully realized cyber war, ordinary citizens could find themselves in the dark, literally and figuratively, as power grids fail, news networks go down, and a fog of electronic warfare clouds what's really happening. Taiwan is a microcosm of the larger US-China hacker war. High stakes, high tech, and high tension, all centered on a 14,000 square mile island. The world holds its breath, hoping this conflict in the code remains in the shadows and does not trigger a very real physical war. This war isn't fought with bombs. It's fought with code, and it's happening now. Every day, hackers break into systems, spies steal secrets. Both sides prepare for a fight they hope never comes. But the risk is real. One wrong move, one misfire, one moment of miscalculation, and the digital war could become something much worse. The question isn't whether the US and China are in a hacker war. They are. The question is how long it can stay in the shadows, because once the lights go out, the war will already be here. And this one could affect us all. This was the hacker war between superpowers. But to see how a much smaller country pulled off one of the most damaging cyber attacks in modern history. Watch this next.